We are live, Carstensen Team Remax results, live tonight with Barbara Lee is the new person you haven't seen before. And Michelle, I'm cutting you from the broadcast if you do that one more time. She tries to share it out in the background and then it gets a 3-second delay. So
oh God.
It's all good. So Chuck Carstensen, along with sister Michelle Carstensen, Barbara Lee. Stacy has plans tonight, and Barbara, she is with the team now, showing agent and realtor that way. So we can tell you more about that in a little bit. But if you haven't joined us before, thank you for joining us. If you're new to the show or Barbara shared it on their page and like, who are these other people with her? You're welcome to comment, share, like, love it. If you give angry faces, I'm sorry that I don't know why you do that, but you could, I suppose you could do the angry faces too. But definitely, you can find on a lot of Facebook pages. Hopefully, right now, Michelle, mine, hopefully Barbara's. If not, you should do the thing.
Figure it out. I forgot.
You should do the thing, Barbara, where Michelle does it, and then you have the delay, and it plays in the background, and that would be good.
Yeah, I think I should do that. Absolutely.
I can't figure it out.
And a reminder, this, if you're tuning in, like, oh, I want to hear what they say, but I got to go. We have it on the Real Life Impact podcast show. You can listen to the replay afterwards, and you'll catch up that way. But please do ask your real estate questions, and we're going to answer some of your real estate questions just by asking yourself questions and answering them. But a lot of times people have some questions. What's going on in the market? What do you expect from this year? What's going to happen with interest rates? Those kind of things. We'll talk about a bunch of different things that are bound to happen, coming up, or going on right now in the real estate market. So with that, I'm gonna let Michelle take over and see how Michelle's doing, and then she can talk to Barbara, and we'll just kind of go around the table here.
Okay. What am I doing? Still trying to figure out how to do the watch party. I totally forgot how to do that. So still can't figure it out. Anyways, what have I been doing? Showing houses.
What were you showing today, Michelle? People want to know.
I was showing townhomes in Mound.
Okay.
And yeah, so I got to drive it out around the cute little area around Lake Minnetonka. I love showing houses in Mound. It's like my favorite spot. So everyone's like out on the lake and all the houses are nice. So, you know, I like it. It's really about 30 minutes from my house though. Like, because you got to drive like 25 miles an hour around the curves out on
the lake. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's what I was out doing today. What else was I doing? I can't really think about anything else I was doing. That's about it.
Sounds awesome. Barbara, what have you been up to? How about, you haven't been on the show before, maybe give everybody an introduction. That would probably be helpful for them.
Hey, yeah. I keep going the wrong way, like when I'm like swiveling in my chair. So I'm Barbara. I happen to be, a cousin to the Carstensen team. So this little crew right here, we're family. And yeah, I haven't been on the show before because I had been with the team previously, a couple years ago, and then got a different job and some things shifted around. And so I took a step back and now I'm back as a showing agent primarily. And I can tell you more about what that means. But in essence, really what I'm here to do is, show additional houses for the team because you guys are really busy. And now that I'm an empty nester, I have a little bit more time. So that really works for me. And I truly I love real estate. I have a passion for it. And so I'm super happy to be back doing it, as a showing agent. And I've been, showing a lot of homes in the metro area lately. Chanhassen.
That's because Michelle's always out of town, so somebody has to do it.
It does work well with
out of house.
She's not always out of town, but also what's cool about working with a team is that if somebody's unavailable, then one of the rest of us can like swoop in. Because in this,
I don't know if it was a secret that Michelle's out of town. Now the world knows. They're all, having viewers.
Everyone on Facebook probably knows that. Which is just fine.
Who's got the ferocious beast in the background? Is that Roxy?
Yeah, AJ's gone, so there's not much I can do but just let her roar.
Your coworkers are being loud tonight.
Yeah. Come here, Rocky. You want to be part of the live?
Stacy had her dog on the show, so you can put Roxy
Yeah.
in the screen. Maybe
I'll just
that'll
pet you,
make
Rocky.
her feel better. Okay, sorry, Barbara, for cutting you off. Sometimes we try to
No.
do some humorous stuff like that, and maybe
We don't
maybe
script it. We just
Yeah.
talk.
We're very unscripted. So yeah, so no, I'm back. I'm happy to be back. And all I was saying is with our team, I think what's nice about working with the team is in this market, twice last week, I went to show clients the home the first day it came on the market. And in both cases, it was so busy. Get this, I could only get a 15-minute showing appointment. And I took it and we made it work because houses are just like going on the market one day. Within 36 hours, they're sold. And so it's key, and I think that's what's great about our team is we can get you in there right away when it's busy like this in the market. So I think that's really good.
I think Chuck's really happy to have you back because otherwise he would have been running to do those showings for me. So
You would have been happy to do that.
It depends. It's been weird. So Lucas is back at school. I think he was hybrid last week, full-time this week. It's amazing how not doing the distance learning, I have extra time, which right now I'm taking the Wisconsin real estate license course. So that's retaking my extra time, but it's like, wow, I can breathe a little bit. So it's nice to have him back in school. So that's helping. It's almost like weird. Like, okay, wow, boy, I became way more efficient apparently because I got everything done. Now I get everything done and I can breathe. So it's January too. That helps a little bit, but also, basketball started back up for the kids. So that's starting to plop in the schedule late afternoons on the days they have games. So it's nice. It's starting to, the schedule's turning a little bit for me. So yeah, that's the reason to have extra help if I want to get to the kids' games. And Barbara, this from now saying you're an empty nester. It's especially when they're older. There's only so many more games before they're done having games. So you want to go to them.
It's true. You want to go to them. And the only other thing I'm really doing in the evenings is playing cribbage with my husband. So yeah.
I actually watched a couple movies last night. I was like, wow, I watched the movies. And I got rid of Hulu and YouTube TV since football's basically over. And I don't know why I had both, but that was $100 a month. So I got rid of it. But I don't know. I get the rabbit ear live TV. So I got to do that. So
that works. That works.
And obviously it's still dark until I don't know, it gets dark at 5:15. So although I saw even when you were showing houses, when I was helping you figure out when to do it, me and Barbara help each other a lot. Either I'm trying to find the schedule if she's online, but anyways, people are showing houses until 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, what the heck?
And that is something new that literally 2 people said to me, I thought you didn't show houses at night when it was dark out. And I'm like, not normally, but right now we are. So, obviously the market is calling for that right now. And one had it booked up until 9:30 at night on the very first night. So that's late.
That's late. It's dark. It's cold. And, I'm not saying we won't do it. Obviously we'll do it. It's just I guess the townhome doesn't really matter as much because these were for the outside. So.
Yeah. You just got to be creative, right? I mean, one of them was a townhome. So the potential buyer did not need to see the outside of the property to make her decision. It's what the market is calling for right now. So you've got to be somewhat flexible.
Yeah. I mean, I tell my people, I'll show you the inside during the day so you can see it in the day. If you want to drive by, whenever you want to drive by, you can walk up there. I don't care what you do. So you can't go inside, but you can walk around the outside. People do it all the time. So,
It depends. They could have no trespassing signs and killer dogs, but I get what you're saying.
We're not going into the backyard. It's just walking up the front yard. I don't know. I think people do it rather if we tell them they can do it or not. So.
Oh yeah.
That's true. That's
I
true.
just do it all
All
the
right,
time.
reminder: ask us your real estate questions. If you don't have questions because you're shy or know everything, we'll throw out like a round robin some of the questions. Michelle, I noticed in an email today, I said, "Here's an idea of a question." And it looked like you did a live video on it. I did not watch the live. So can you summarize what you talked about? This would be practice on our
It was
question.
a good idea. I was like, oh, because I actually had that question. Well, I have a question almost every time, unless I bring it up in the beginning when you start talking to buyers. But I just had that question on Saturday. So you had brought it up, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to start doing these tips all the time because these are questions I get anyway. So if I don't get those questions, and I get people like DMing me and like, okay, so I saw you're traveling everywhere. So where should I go? So traveling or real estate, either way, just do both.
So you
Travel
answered
agent,
the question on earnest money. So everybody can see Michelle's video on earnest money, but what's the 25-second version of earnest money? Because some people don't understand it.
So earnest money is the money that you put down to basically confirm the contract. You send it in within 2 business days. It's usually 1%. Some people don't have 1% of the purchase price, so it's like $500, $1,000. Often now these days, it's actually more like 1% because there's lots of offers. And that's hold till closing and goes towards your down payment. If you have a down payment, if not, you're probably getting it back.
And what happens to earnest money if the inspection goes bad and you're not buying the house?
You get it back.
What happens to earnest money if your loan falls through because you lost your job?
Normally get it back.
Barbara, do you want to ask one of those kind of questions?
What happens to the earnest money if if everything goes really good on the inspection, but I find something I like better and it's just too good for me to pass up and I want out?
Was it before the appraisal was done?
Yeah, the appraisal was done. Inspection was done.
How many days before closing?
32.
Oh, that's a long ways. They probably give it back to you. If it was like a couple days before, they probably won't.
Here's the deal, though. Barbara, your question is that is an enforceable contract. The seller wouldn't have to give the earnest money back. Minnesota, though, is a state where it's less lenient on earnest money, where you have to take them to court. That's any state. Where some states will be like, yep, that's the seller's earnest money. Minnesota, it depends. On that scenario you gave, I think technically if somebody took them to court, the seller would keep the earnest money, but sellers may not take somebody to court if it's like $1,000, like hell with it, let's just get the house back in the market. And that's where Michelle's answer of they try to get their earnest money back is right, because they don't want to wait and go to court for $1,000. So,
right.
So,
and they don't want to pay to go to court. I mean, you can go to small claims court, but it's still like it takes time and money. It's not worth it. You just give it back and put it back in the market.
So it depends, but that answers a lot of questions. Hey, that was a good way to do the earnest money question. So I'll take it.
And even if it's like 2 days before closing, I mean, usually the buyer ends up buying it because they don't want to have to go to court. So, but you know.
Yeah, my years of doing this, if we got really close to closing and say a buyer wanted to back out, normally the seller or somebody on the seller's side has an attorney, drafts up a letter like this is an enforceable contract. We are taking to court, keeping your earnest money. We're suing you for performance. We took it off the market. So we also have right to that time. So it'd be more than the earnest money. So earnest money is enforceable. I'm not saying it isn't. It is something that obviously could, like, I wouldn't just back out, like on Barbara's scenario where you bring it up on another house. If you're a buyer represented by an agent and that kind of thing comes up, the agent has to tell the seller's agent that this is happening. Like they're doing something else. And yeah, they probably want the earnest money and the buyer should let the seller have it if that was the case, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't had too much trouble with it. It comes up sometimes where I've had problems.
Yeah, people will ask that question. I mean, they really genuinely want to know, like, what would happen if, so
yeah,
it's important to inform them that, I mean, you potentially could lose that money at that point.
Chuck's had a few too, where it's gotten down to a couple days before closing. And we're like, oh, you're probably going to court if you just don't buy this property. So
yeah,
you just have to buy it.
I've had buyers where they gave up the earnest money based on whatever situation was. So, but I've been doing it a long, long time. So that can happen, obviously.
How many years?
18 and a half.
My God, your kids could be adults already. Oh, wait, one of them is.
I've been doing it since Clay was a little bundle of joy, and Chase was just a figment of everybody's imagination.
Yeah.
Ah, you were like taking them on showings back then.
I did take them on showings.
That's a long time ago. Wow.
It's a long time. It's a lot of, you could write a book, Chuck.
I could probably on real estate. But,
on real estate. You've already done that otherwise, but yeah.
You've been taking notes.
You could retire and write a book of all of the random things that happen to you. Like,
yes, there'd be some interesting stories. Probably.
You have to use fake names.
Definitely do that. Privacy.
I know.
And if you're not watching your comment stream, Mom and Dad are saying hi, family. So.
Hi.
Michelle, what do you do with your dog when you are showing? Stays in the kennel. It should be in the kennel now, but I didn't know she's going to come over here and want to be a part of the show just because nobody else is around.
She hears my voice and like, oh, that's my favorite guy in the whole world next to AJ.
AJ's not here. AJ's working out. Yeah, so Barbara, you showed some houses for me last week. What did you see with these houses? Do they look like they're worth what people are paying for them?
Yeah, in the market right now they are. So really everything that I was showing, very, very staged. To the point where, I mean, you could really see yourself living in that house. So they were primed and ready. They were decluttered. They were personalized. They were either staged or, I mean, very artfully set up and strategically set up. So, yeah. And I mean, the questions I kept getting is, what do you think this house will sell for? It's like, yeah, I mean, I would ask that question too. I have asked that question of you before when I was buying a house. It's a tricky thing. I mean, we pull comps. We, look at the data in the area and analyze, and can give you the best informed decision that we can. In both of last week's case, I'm like, this will go into multiples. By tomorrow, they will be calling for highest and best. And we need to be prepared to, and so this will go over list. That's in those two cases that was going to happen. And a couple weeks ago, what I found very interesting is, even from the time I was with this team before, I had 6 showings set up for the weekend. So normally normally in a market, somebody's interested in seeing a house, during midweek, but they have weekends off, right? We'll set it up for like Saturday, right? We'll go out Saturday. So Tuesday or Wednesday, I set up like 6 showings for the weekend. 2 of those were still available by the time Saturday came. They were canceling, the listing agents were canceling my showings and saying, we're already received multiple offers. We're canceling your showing for Saturday. I'm like, I've never, ever received a message like this. So it was, and I kept having to tell the buyers, like, hey, they canceled this showing. Okay, now they canceled this showing. Right, they're already in multiples on this one, and they're taking highest and best by this time.
Yeah,
crazy.
I know, but I mean that's cool because you were with us a couple years ago, so you can even that's a good way to tell people how the market is. It's just a lot different. And Chuck, you pointed out something the other day that you said last year compared to this year, the homings. Oh my God. There's 47% less homes on the market than there was a year ago.
Yeah, a year ago at this time, apparently there's 47% less inventory, which is huge because last year at this time we had low inventory, and then the whole year we had low inventory. So imagine now with demand probably stronger than before because of the pent-up demand that people couldn't buy, didn't want to move, but wanted to move, then decided not to move because of COVID. So there's a pent-up demand, the low supply, and then 47% lower supply. So this is for the people who thought, I'm going to wait, and there's going to be foreclosures, and there's going to be, it's going to go down. I'm going to wait. if you're waiting for that, do not wait any longer, because that just means the market's going to continue to rise, and it is projected to rise. In most areas, most locations, 6 to 8% this year appreciation. Obviously, 8% on 300,000. That's a good amount of money right there. That's another 25,000 basically. So, and then interest rates probably will eventually go up. I don't know that they're going to go up in the first couple months here. I mean, in general, we're still finding people properties. I think our situation with the people we help a wide area, wide variety, whether it's land sales, lake sales, cabin sales, so people on those, maybe that's a little slower this time of year, but we still have people looking, and they're able to get those properties, which maybe if you tried to buy one in July or August, whatever, last year, and you tried to get one of those, it didn't work very well. So I think because of our diversified areas and type of people we help, we're finding people properties, but it's not easy, right? Barbara, you showed those houses. I think they did all go into multiple. And then the other factor, which is out there, is there's new construction, but they're way behind. I had a new construction meeting tonight, and they said 6 to 7 months. If you hurry and do a contract like ASAP, you can be in your home 6 to 7 months.
Yeah, and some were even telling me on new construction that we're looking at September to November if you buy now. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's just, because everything that they have ready is getting snatched up because existing homes, are hard to come by too. But I think you're right. We are finding people properties, but I think it's just we have to help educate our buyers that they just have to be a little bit more decisive right now. Gone are the days of being able to kind of look for a few weeks and see a bunch of houses and just kind of have a ton of options available. Like, we've just got to be a little bit more decisive now and ready to make the move.
Well, a lot more decisive. You really almost can't do a second showing. Like, that's almost unheard of, although a couple people do it. Like, hey, I need to have a second showing. No, you should not do a second showing. It's gone by the second showing in a lot of areas. Then there's situations there's not. We've only got a couple holdover listings. So we're basically sold out of our inventory, with more slowly popping, going to be on the market. So that's, if you want to sell your
house,
Yeah, and typical winters, and we talked about this probably last couple shows. Yeah, it's slower. Don't list your house in the winter. Now it's like, list it. There's people lined up out the door, and it's just you better get on the market. Obviously, it comes down a little bit pricing condition. We can't list your home way overpriced and get it sold. Or if your house isn't ready to show, like Barbara said, a lot of the homes are staged and obviously looking good. If it looks mediocre or beat up, then it's harder to sell. But in general, the staged, clean, priced appropriate house will sell right away and often get multiple offers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And what do you think? So, Barbara, you showed a few different new construction homes, and now Chuck was saying he did it too. Like, so basically, how does that look now? Because I know we used to go to open house, like new construction, everyone just walks in, we're all like partying in the open house, basically. And now, like, you can't do that.
I know. Can't do that. I was in for kind of like, okay, how much has actually changed right now? So, you really have to set up a time with the agent from those new properties and basically have a meeting with them. You can't just go and set up a time anytime you want. They have certain times that are available, mostly right now, like let's say 11 to 6 every day, 5 days a week. I tried to set up a showing time outside of that for my clients. It was denied. This is when I'm here. And so also, normally I'm showing a home by myself and walking the clients through it. And then I was like, so who's in charge here? Are you going to show them? Am I going to lead? I'm like, I'm used to taking the lead. So we'll ask you later if we have questions. Like, you can stay over there. I didn't know what to do.
And on the new homes I showed, it was basically they have most of the homes pre-sold or sold as they're started, but they had enough inventory up in this one neighborhood where homes were closing this week, so we could show them this past weekend while they were done, ready to close this week, And then obviously if we would have been going like this weekend, it would have been too late. It had been sold. So we basically showed somebody else's home that they built that's similar to what they wanted, or to give them ideas and the different floor plans quickly as they were all selling. Otherwise, probably in a week or so, it would have just been the homes in progress that aren't finished, framed up. Maybe they got siding, and then people can't really see what they are. It makes it harder for them to decide.
A couple that I went to also, I mean, they just were able to only show photos or like a video, you know, kind of what the home would look like, you know, and not actually step into the home. You know, they could go see the lot that it would be built on, but, you know, so it varied quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, the one of our clients that me and Barbara are both helping, and they ended up buying new construction this weekend, like, that house, they're like, yeah, well, we can't close till whenever, which they didn't really say that, but it works out. But they're like, well, we have to have it in the parade of homes because we don't have anything else to show. Like, this will be it. This will be it. This is the one that we got to show. And I was like, well, whatever. If you don't buy this, you're going to, you know, not have one
do better if they have inventory to show, because people do want to see it. And that's a challenge with the inventory. They're selling a lot of them, and not all the builders have inventory. Because this buyer I'm talking about was looking at some other ones, and the builders had nothing up. And they're like, you know, they wanted to see stuff. So,
yeah. And also they're seeing their prices increase. They're like, you know, just so you know, we're already projecting a 3% increase, you know, for February in one particular case. Like, you know, if you have the ability to buy in January, you know, we are seeing now that there's a price increase. And I know someone else that happened to. They happened to sign and get the home. And they were told, like, while they were in escrow, that if they had waited another month, the price would have gone up $9,000 on their home. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. Like, just that 1 month difference, waiting, like trying to decide, should I buy now or should I wait? Because the pandemic has caused a lot of pricing increases and a lot of delays on getting like product and inventory in to finish the home. So they're passing that along.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the challenge with new construction. So, and Dad says lumber's going up. Like everything is going up. Today the comment was windows are way behind. They're having trouble getting windows in, so that's delaying everything. So
I know everyone that's like, oh, I'm going to buy land and just build on my own. I'm like, if the builders can't get the lumber, who are you going to? Right. Yeah, I know. And my dad was even saying it was like, I don't know how much it was, $2, and now it's like $12 or something. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
So Barbara, we could not totally shift gears, but I'd asked hey, come up with a question. We do the round robin type of thing. We've done the earnest money. We've done a little bit on new construction and what you're showing. So what questions do you come up with that Michelle can answer, and I can help her when she gets them wrong?
Oh, I thought you were going to help me when I got them wrong.
No, you got to ask us questions.
Okay, so my question is, this question got posed to me last week. In this market, how do I get my offer accepted when there's multiple offers? Like, what do I do to bring mine to the top of the list?
You want me to go?
Yes, Michelle.
Okay. There are so many options there. So it all depends. First of all, if you're FHA and you need closing costs, it's going to be a little bit of struggle. So we're going to have to work on that and hopefully find you a for sale by owner or somebody that's overpriced or not in the Twin Cities right here, because asking for closing costs and being FHA is not easy. That doesn't mean I can't help you, but that's not going to be easy. So to get a house, you should probably see if you can get a conventional loan, or if you are FHA, see if you can pay your own closing costs, either by, sometimes there's down payment assistance programs, you know, and I don't think sellers rule out the people with down payment assistance programs as long as they're not asking for closing costs. Otherwise, get a conventional loan if you can. And then, like I said, try to get a gift for the closing costs. Not anybody in the Twin Cities that I know that has a house that's selling as fast as Barbara's saying are taking closing costs. They're just not going to. And that could be another question, what are closing costs? But so you've got to make sure you know what the comps are. So if the comps have sold, say a townhouse sold 2 months ago, right? Say it sold for $219, it's probably $229 now. And I know they're going to say 2 months ago is $219. It doesn't matter. It's up 5 to 8%. And Roxy's trying to talk to. And then there's another thing you can do, and Barbara's really good at this part too. She knows this part. You can technically put a clause in that says you'll pay $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 over the next highest amount. Now, those aren't always the ones that get accepted though. Some people just like the ones that are solid, like I'm going to pay this. But what I've learned even in helping people sell like twin homes, townhomes, is that you just got to put it out there. It might be 8,000 more than the last person, but they're going to pick that offer. And if it doesn't appraise, you have a better chance of getting it down a little bit at that point because they're already into you knowing that you paid 8,000 over the last bid. But it's a lot of it's a guessing game, unfortunately. But the good thing is about the rates being about 2.5%, that if you did pay like 5,000 more than the person before you, it's not going to hit you a ton over a 30-year loan for the $5,000. So.
And one thing about that is what you can do is write your offer like, I will pay $1,000 more than the highest bidder up until X amount. So you can also stipulate that. And so like, let's say it's a $200,000 home, just for easy figuring. And you'd say, I'd pay $1,000 over the next highest bidder up until 210, maybe, but that's my bottom line. Like, I don't want to go more than that. So you could do that. But here's my follow-up question to that then, Michelle. Like, if you do that, and let's say, or Chuck, I mean, you can go back and forth here, but let's say then the house doesn't appraise for 210, like in that scenario, what happens then?
I'm gonna answer a couple other things from before. What I'd also do with the offer is have the lender call the seller's agent. I would also have a conversation with the seller's agent. I would draft the offer as clean as possible with the buyer's given scenario, whatever that means. That might mean, like Michelle was saying, no closing costs. That's cleaner than closing costs. But if they needed closing costs, how can I make it clean? How can I communicate to the seller's agent why we're still, somebody you could go with? Have the lender call them. Just give them some assurances that, we're on top of things. Because I see this all the time, with the listings we have when we get multiple offers. I'll get several offers, but only a couple people reach out to me. And typically it's one of the top people. And because they reached out to me, I feel better about that offer and how the communication going. And every once in a while I'll have one reach out with something that's kind of I don't know, a negative, like they almost sound dumb. And I'm like, oh, this agent maybe won't get it through. I don't know if dumb is the right word, but I've been doing this a long time. So they're like, this sounds like not the right word, right, Michelle? Sometimes I say wrong words. So that's typically every show. If you watch every broadcast, go to the replay and the Real Life Impact podcast. I'm sure I say the wrong word a couple times. It sounds offensive. So I'm saying that sometimes I'll get somebody reaches out to me and they frame it in a negative way with the offer. And I'm like, oh, we don't want to work with you. So obviously it's not reaching out to the person. It's, if you're working with a realtor, work with somebody that's got the experience, got the knowledge, got your back, able to communicate effectively. And sometimes you do have to say, words that jump out so people get your attention, but not what I say. I like what I do.
Well, Chuck's right. Like oftentimes, and it does help to be experienced agents because Chuck's been around for 18 years and like if I put an offer in, Chuck's always on my offers as well. I've been around for almost 7 years, but if people know who you are, they're more likely to take an offer from your client if it's about the same as somebody else's who they're looking up and like, oh, they did 2 sales last year. This should be fun. And that's just not us saying that. That's realistic. That's what we do too. We're like, ooh, it's in the end, it's up to the seller. But if I'm like, oh, this guy never sold a home in his life and I don't think he's even on a team, like, I don't know how this is even going to work out, So that's what he's kind of saying too. Like he'll say like, we know what we're doing. This is a lender we've worked with for 15 years. They're going to get it to closing. And maybe our buyer's a nurse or something that they're not going to lose their job. Unless something like crazy happens, but they're not going to lose their job where everyone else that you're taking offers from, do you know what they're doing for their work? And of course we have to ask our buyers if we can tell what they do, but you just got to know, you got to know the market, you got to know how to help the seller's agent understand how you're going to help them. So it's going to be smooth and not super stressful.
And the other thing, I've had offers that were way too high, and I'm like, what are these people doing? This has no way of appraising. Like they wrote it way too high, and I tell them it's way too high, and then they're like, well, that's confusing. I want to offer way too high, but that that doesn't necessarily get you the offer. That's where you have a conversation. Like, what are you looking for? What's the seller looking for? And dial it in. That's the best way to do it. Get as much information, dial in the offer with what the seller's looking for, closing date. Obviously, they want the most, but you can feel out the situation a little bit. It might help. But if there's 20 offers, it's harder. If there's 3 offers, you're probably going to win it. That's how it goes. So what was your follow-up question, Barbara? Because I kind of...
No, so I said, like, let's say you do offer too high, kind of just like what you said right there, and it doesn't appraise. Like you said, like, this isn't going to appraise for that, you know. Or if you're in a multiple situation and you go with that strategy of offering, you know, $1,000 more than the highest bid up till a certain dollar amount, but then it doesn't appraise, like, what would happen then?
I mean, Roxy's whining.
Oh, no, that's fine. Yeah, obviously that's almost the follow-up concern of, okay, we offer this much, it might not appraise. So if I have a buyer, I'm explaining that to the buyer. This might not appraise. What might they do? Well, obviously, if we're doing the thing where we have the conversation with the listing agent's already probably asked me, or at least we've kind of felt out the situation. If I'm the listing agent and, okay, the reason why we're taking this offer, and a lot of the ones where we've had several offers on, is because they had a high amount of down payment, and the conversation with my sellers has been, well, they got 30% down. So if it doesn't appraise, they probably have a little money to negotiate. And the conversation with my seller, if the best offer or the only offer or 3 offers and the best offer is 3% down conventional, is like, okay, now here's the risk. This is the best offer. It's overpriced. It's higher than the last appraisal. Last sale, it might not appraise. And then at that point, yeah, we're renegotiating, and they may not have that much money or enough money to come up. There's a couple scenarios we can work it. And sometimes the conversation literally is, hopefully it appraises. Otherwise we're back to the drawing board.
Back to negotiating. Yeah.
But we normally do work out appraisal somewhere in the middle, or somebody figures something out. We haven't had too many in the past few years fall through, unless they're just way off, like 50,000 off. Then that's hard to get it together.
I've had one of those not work out. Oh, 1, maybe 2. 2, I think, in the entire time I've done it now. Roxy just really wants to talk today.
He's very vocal. He's doing my voice check because I advocate for her to get walks in the morning. And so now she's talking to me.
I think you're right. She does recognize you. So on a quick tangent then, you guys work out sometimes in the morning, right? I'm in a big workout, phase 2. Even that was like, Chuck, don't you always work out? So you're in a big workout phase. You do that. You guys work out how many times a week together, but not together?
Well, when is Michelle here?
Well, when Michelle's available, yeah. We've actually been working out in the mornings on Zoom really since like March, like basically pandemic time. And
I think April. I think I was doing it. I did 21 days with the family, and you hit the end of the 21 days, so probably April.
Okay. That's about right. Yeah, so since April, and then we do 5 days a week together. But I'm doing a modified version of 75 hard, Chuck. So I work out 7 days a week, and then
What's your modified version?
I'm not as hardcore as you. I do 2 workouts a day, but 30 minutes each, not 45. One is outside. And I'm on a keto diet. So like, I think 75 hard says like no alcohol whatsoever for 75 days. And I'm like, if in my keto diet, I can have a White Claw, I'm having a White Claw because like I already only get very limited, things anyway. So that's my limited version. And so
sure.
I'm doing that with another cousin of ours. And so yeah, I mean, I just was like, I know. And I also have a hard time drinking water. I know I should drink more water. So I make myself drink a half a gallon of water a day, not a gallon. But that's very difficult for me. So
no, I get it. So obviously Melissa's doing the 75 hard, and she's right on it. She's doing the pictures. She has the app. She's doing everything, doing the diet thing. We are not drinking. We have not drank since we started. I'm not doing the pictures. I don't have the app, and I probably had like 6 cookies. So I'm sure cookies are probably not even allowed. I don't know. But she's down like 13 pounds, and I'm down about 9 pounds. But yeah, 2 workouts a day. And this week I've been literally doing like a 45-minute outside and about an hour and 15, hour and a half inside workout because I'm trying to, when I play basketball, I've just been losing my breath. I'm like, I got to get my cardio back up. I'm a slow twitch muscle guy now, not a quick twitch. I'm like, I gotta speed this up. So I've been pushing myself a little bit this week on that. So it's been.
I'm saying I'm not as hardcore as you. I'm not. So, but I've lost like 2 pounds. So
nice. It works. I think when you eat a little bit better and obviously not drinking and work out a little extra, you're gonna lose weight. It's not that hard. So I feel good. Like I used to always be sore, and for whatever reason, starting the last couple days with this extra push, the soreness is almost like worked itself out. It's weird. It's interesting. So I was like, I finally feel good.
You guys.
Hey, we do have a real estate question from Dad. Let's see.
Who wants to ask me?
I think it's a combo question. What do we think houses are going to do in the next 6 months? And like I said earlier, prices are going to appreciate. I don't see them not appreciating this year just due to the lack of inventory and the interest rates. Any other thoughts on that, Michelle or Barbara?
They're going to appreciate. I mean, I've been very vocal about this. Eventually I'm going to sell my house because I'm going to be an empty nester. And I'm in Hopkins School District. And I was telling Chuck yesterday, there is no houses under $400,000 for sale in Hopkins. And there is 2 active on the market over 400. The other 3 are sold. There's nothing on the market. So not if you want like 3 bedrooms. I suppose you could probably get 2-bedroom, 1-bath townhouse condo thing, but single family home is non-existent. So with that, anyone that wants to get into certain places, there's just not a lot of inventory. So the price is going to go up. It's going to be supply and demand like it has been for years. And we talked about this last time is when I started, I could show a house, say it was $200,000, ask for closing costs, maybe offer $195, ask for closing costs and get it. Now it's like you offer $220, you don't ask for closing costs and you hope you get it. It's not a bad thing because again, the interest rate is about 2.5 if you have a semi-decent credit score, which means I think you got to be over 720. It's not a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. And if you want to continue to wait, you can wait, but we don't know if next year it's going to be even higher. Every year that we think it's going to go down since I've started, it's not gone down at all. It's not even slightly gone down. It just keeps going up. So like even when about the time I started a little bit before that, I bought my house and it's worth $100,000 more than it was 5 years ago. So I didn't think when I bought my house, I thought, oh my gosh, top of my budget, I can barely afford this. At my thoughts when before I started real estate, when I was doing my other job. And now it's like, wow, that's crazy. Like, if you had asked me 5 years ago, is your house going to be worth $100,000 more in 5 years? I'm like, no. It totally is. And most people's are a good chunk, like 50,000 to 150,000 more than 5 years ago. So
I would say my house is worth quite a bit more than I paid for 3 years. But,
I mean, for sure. Your type of property's gone up. Even since buying my house, it's gone up a lot with the adjustments we've done to it. I know you've done a lot of updates to it. It's like probably way higher than you'd even think. So if you wanted to move, Barbara, you'd be fine.
Yeah,
I don't. But yeah.
So those 2 get to live on lakes during COVID.
Yeah. You get to live on lakes. So we like that. But I will say the only other thing is it does depend on condition. And in the more rural area, I'm in a more rural area. And so in the Twin Cities metro, I think, homes there are selling very quickly and they're going for higher. Here, as a matter of fact, I have a showing coming up for something that I actually think is overpriced, and it's been on the market 142 days. So it's in a rural small town. And so, I think it's overpriced, to be very honest, for the size of the home. And so, it'll be interesting. They've just recently lowered the price and I still think it's high. So I mean, I think it does depend on condition. I mean, this house is 100 years old and, the pictures don't necessarily show very well. So, it'll be interesting because I feel like there's going to need to be some, maybe it's a furnace thing or maybe, some of those things that might need to be done that still makes the house a good house, but it might just be a little high really for the market here, in Kimball. So it'll be interesting when I go take a look at it.
Well, and that's a good point. Like Stacy and I are helping buyers looking like in a wide area. And a lot of those properties, probably the only ones that were for sale that he liked were out there for 100 days, 200 days. This one is on Zillow says 400 days, although it was like relisted, unlisted, whatever. And it was just, they started at the price too high and the location's way out there, and it's a niche property, and those areas, it is going to be on the market a little bit longer. But I also had told them, like, it's, if this was 2 months later, it's probably gone too. So this is time to make your move. So that's the thing.
That's the other thing. There's no way. I mean, we had COVID about a year ago, right? Like 10 months ago. And we thought, oh, the prices will all go down, right? Like that's what most people were saying. We didn't know. And if you think that the price is going to go down when we still have COVID and they haven't gone down, like there isn't anything that's going to put them down at this point, because again, a lot of, like we talk about this every show, people have equity, they refi. Like I have lenders saying like, I just want to do regular houses, like regular house loans. Like all I do is refis, and like that's not sustainable, but it's there. So like to say that people are going to lose their house, I'm not saying like somebody out there isn't like losing their house. That's not what I'm saying, but like the high percentage of it is not happening, and they can't build the houses fast enough is what we're saying. Like that's what, besides the material, they still can't build them fast enough because there's just not enough supply. So.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Barbara, somebody's saying hi to you.
Oh,
I can't see that.
I can't because I don't know where. Do I look on Facebook?
No, look at the comments like in front of you.
So here's something I'll bring up while you're trying to figure out who's saying hi to you.
Okay.
So one of the things people that are holding off are concerned about, the market was going to go down, right? There's going to be foreclosures beginning of when we started the show. Like one of the first topics where we were kind of talking about like how some agents were saying there's going to be foreclosures, get ready. I remember even early pandemic, some of the top agents at Remax on like one of our internal sites were like, I'm selling my investment properties, get ready to buy up when the market's going down. Like people who do a lot of business, even a couple people that do more business than we did. And I did put out videos right away. You can find them. They're on YouTube. That the reason the market wasn't going down, I didn't think it would go up this much. And I actually thought like lake homes maybe wouldn't go up as much because they're like secondary homes. And those went up more. So I wasn't 100% right on it. And I'll admit it, but the forbearance factor, because a lot of it is like, oh, people are in forbearance and they're gonna lose their homes. But there is a high percentage, like I think about 6.5 million households, I'm just kind of reading the stats, went into forbearance some point during COVID. 2.5 million, 40% of those, a little over 40%, are current on their payments, left the program. 10% of those households, about 625,000, have paid off their mortgages. Some of them might have sold. Like you could be behind on your mortgage because the market went up. You can sell and get your money out. So that's part of it. 7% have negotiated a repayment plan, so it's just kind of restructured their loan. 35% have extended their forbearance plan, meaning they're still in forbearance. That's a couple million. And about 8% are still in their original forbearance plan that, when they started it, they didn't have to redo anything. And there's about 116,000, 2% that have left the program and are behind on the payments. Those are people who are in jeopardy of foreclosure, but like I said, they can resell their property and make money. And a breakdown of new foreclosures the past 3 years prior to the pandemic, 2017, there was 314,000, a little more than that. 279,000 foreclosures. 2018, this is in the United States. And 2019, 277,000 foreclosures. That means there's normally, let's just say, 275 foreclosed homes that are in a typical good year. Like Michelle said, every one of those years the market was going up, but there's still some people that lose their house. Maybe they get divorced, maybe their house is deteriorated and they put a loan on it and it just went downhill where they can't sell it. They don't have the equity. And sometimes people get foreclosed, they don't know they have equity and they just like blow it and let it get foreclosed and don't cash out the little bit of money they could have got out of it. But that means if 10% of those currently in forbearance did get foreclosed, the ones who are currently in forbearance that haven't left the program, haven't paid it off, 10% of them, which is fair to say that that could happen, that would be like 275,000 foreclosures, which is in 2021 or 2022, which is right in line with the normal inventory of foreclosure years. So there's not going to be a spike in foreclosures. And with the low inventory, it'd be good if there was 10%, not good for the people who got foreclosed. It would be good if there was that many foreclosures. We need that inventory. So when you hurt the market, it'd probably actually help get the market moving through.
Yeah, I remember that too, because I remember we started doing that. And I mean, even at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, like you were like positive, Chuck, like always, and I'm pretty positive, but I was like, I don't know what's going on. And the funny thing is there was so many agents that had literally stopped working. I think they stopped working. I don't know if they were scared or they're just like, nobody's going to buy houses, or I don't know if they're watching TV. I don't know what they were doing, but they gave room for the other agents like us that were like, I'm just going to keep working. And we have, and like, I guess if people are on my social media, I was in the top 15% of agents in the country in the last quarter, because when most people in the last quarter, we all know this, if they do well in the first 3 quarters, the last quarter, they go on holiday or whatever they do and stop working, or I don't know why they stopped working at this point, but we just kept going and we just like boomed it out at the end, and we're still going. Like we're not, usually last year at this time, I know I was like watching movies every day, and I finally got to watch movies yesterday, but that's just not the point. The point is what I'm saying is like, what I'm saying, what I'm trying to get through to you all is like, there was business to be had. And I'm pretty sure RE/MAX results did very well, just like they normally do. And like Chuck said, there's like the same amount of foreclosures. So if people still think that there's going to be all these foreclosures, they're not out there, gang. They're not out there.
Yeah, and technically, in at least Minnesota, it's 12 months before you see the foreclosures. And because that foreclosure, like withheld period's gone on, there's not going to be any foreclosures in 2020 in Minnesota unless somebody deed and lose it, or it happened before the pandemic or whatever. So you're not going to see, in Minnesota, you're going to see very, very few foreclosures. And yeah, maybe in 2022, you'll see a normal flow of foreclosures, which hasn't dropped the market at all since there was the abundant flow of foreclosures starting back 2009, basically, where for 2009 to 2013, there was abundant, most of the market, half the market was distressed property, short sale and foreclosures. And then it was hard for sellers of a regular property. So yeah, we're not going to see that. And then like I've done this prediction before, but sometimes we have new viewers, new listeners, new downloads. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any kind of significant drop off in the market till 2032 through 2036, sometime in there, like literally 11 to 15 years. That doesn't mean it won't go, there'll be a 2% drop year or 4% drop. I'm just saying like probably more than 8, 9, 10% drop. Like I don't see that happening.
Yeah. No, I don't either. Barbara sees a question.
Yeah, we've got a question. So, hey, Rachel, thanks for listening. I know Rachel, and she is a first-time home buyer. So I know you were working with someone before, but I'm here for you, girl. So she's saying, what are the things you look for when suggesting homes for first-time home buyers? So I think that's a fantastic question. So do one of you want to go first? Or do you want me to go?
Well, I'll start. I would ask the first-time home buyer what they're looking for, right? Like what's their ideal home, what features they want in a home, what areas, the basic search criteria. I would start with that to find out what they want. And then, depending on what's out there, obviously then step 2, what's after that? And what did I not tell them that you would do on step 1, Michelle?
Me? Oh, you told them that, yeah. I ask them what they're looking for. Once they know what they're looking for, then I swoop in and help them find what they're looking for. But basically, first-time home buyers, you're probably at either a townhome or like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home, depending on the area. And you just got to look for something that, if you don't have a lot of money saved up, you got to have something more turnkey, unless you know how to fix this stuff. Because the second you close on the home within the first year, there's probably going to be a couple $1,000s worth of work. It is what it is. it might not happen the first year, but it's coming the second year. You know, the dishwasher breaks, the washer breaks, or, you know, it's just simple things that are $400 or $500 add up to like $3. So a lot of times for first-time home buyers, they want it to be turnkey unless they know how to fix things. And then also, you want to have an agent that knows what they're talking about. So when one of us walks into a home, we will show you what's wrong with that house. There's a lot of agents out there that either don't know what's wrong with the house or aren't going to tell you because they think, oh, first-time home buyer, you're just going to buy anything I tell you to buy. So
yeah, those are really good. I think, you know, another question I got recently kind of in that kind of genre is, you know, like, how familiar are you with the area that I'm looking in? So, I mean, we set up a search for you on the MLS so that you are notified immediately if something comes on in the area that you're looking with your parameters. The other thing, you know, kind of like Michelle was saying with, you know, kind of having that contingency fund, I really kind of like to walk through like, okay, you might be approved for this, but what is, you know, if you want to share with me, you know, what is your budget so that we make sure that you stay within those parameters and don't, you know, kind of go after something that, you know, because I think what happens right now is, so my daughter just bought a house not too long ago, right? But you see the price like on Zillow or you see it online and you can get it for this price per month, but they don't understand that, you know, when you're a first-time home buyer, like you have your escrow, right? You have your tax and insurance that you've got to roll in there. So depending on where you buy, tax brackets are different, tax amounts are different, and you've got to roll that all into your mortgage. And so these costs kind of tend to really add up quickly, and all of a sudden you can get very, very surprised. And so, you know, I'll speak for my daughter, you know, one of the things that she was really diligent about is we went through her budget, like line by line by line, you know, so that, you know, she wasn't surprised, because closing costs are, you know, if they're not all paid, which right now is not happening. I told someone recently too, you know, every time I've bought so far, I haven't paid closing costs. You know, I was very lucky, but that is not the today's market, you know. So now you've got to come to the table prepared for those closing costs, and that's a bunch, right? And so you've got to have those contingencies, like fixing things up and your escrow. And I think sometimes with first-time home buyers, like, I'm there to help you sort through all of the terminology, because it's like, escrow, what's escrow? What is closing costs? What's earnest money? Like, and it's just because like all these terms are coming at them so fast that it's like, wait a minute, you know, and I remember feeling that way. So I try to help them through some of that. So Rachel, you'll have to let us know if that answered your question. We were kind of broad there, but tried to hone in on your question. So if you have a follow-up, don't hesitate to ask. But it's a great
true. And I think with people, like, even if they've had bought a home, they still forget. Like, if you bought a house like 6 years ago and you're not a realtor, you're like, what's earnest money? What's closing costs? Like, I don't think it has to be first-time home buyer. So,
yeah, I have somebody I helped 10 years ago, and they're buying and selling again. And some of the questions they're coming up with, I was like, oh, I'm surprised they bought before, but it's been a while. Like, if I have something that I don't do a lot that it's on my mind, I ask questions too that sometimes like, oh, that's a weird question to ask. They probably think I don't know what's going on there, but it's like, oh, I don't do this every day. So yeah, there's a ton of questions that can come up in the real estate process. So that's the main thing is, you know, we try to obviously, like Barbara said, flush them out, explain the situation, and then we're happy to answer any questions as it goes to give you confidence or make you feel comfortable as you move forward. Yeah, and we wanna help you buy what's right for you. And so, you know, we really, you know, aren't happy unless you're happy, right? And you know, we're not just there to just unlock a door and walk around a house and be like, yeah, you should buy it. I mean, actually, we're kind of nitpicking it right along with you. And like Michelle said, showing you maybe what could be, you know, a red flag potentially, because we don't want anything to, like, you're our friends, we're our family. Like, and if you're not, you're going to become our friends and our family, like by, you know, association. And, you know, we really want you to feel like super confident about what you did.
And then, we can help you navigate through if issues do come up, right? Like, because things can come up that no one could have foresaw. And then, that's where it's good to have a really good person on your side to walk you through those things and to also negotiate on your behalf.
Yeah. I mean, until that point, like, obviously people are watching this like, oh, Barbara's new to our team. How long has she been doing this? I know I started like 6 years ago and I had no clue what I was doing. And it probably took me about 2 years to know. And I still ask Chuck questions and he usually answers them. He's like a dictionary. Encyclopedia.
Or I tell her to figure it out, I'm sure.
I don't figure it out. But like when you have a new agent in your team, Stacy started with us like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2. I don't know. Something like that. She's pretty much figured it all out now and it won't take Barbara long. She did work with us before and she's already caught right back on. So
yeah, and I think the good thing, like somebody like Barbara, obviously, or Stacy or Michelle, when they got into business, is they come from a background of service and basically in real estate, we have service. We're serving you, we're helping you. And then it's communication. So a lot of times when there's people who aren't great communicators in real estate. And that was probably what I was getting at when I said the wrong word. It wasn't a swear, but it felt like a swear after I said it earlier.
Like a swear.
Somebody's gonna like rewind. What was the swear word Chuck said? But somebody who's excellent at communicating, like Barbara, and a quick learner, like Barbara, like Stacy, like Michelle, based on their background, experience, obviously owning homes and being around people in the business for a while. Like some people are just better cut out for real estate. There's people that have probably been in the business longer than me that probably aren't cut out for real estate, or not cut out anymore in the currently 2021 market. So that's the challenge for a buyer, for a seller, when working with somebody. Yeah, for the most part, it can go pretty well. There's always a couple landmines around the way that you can navigate, and a lot of agents can navigate it through. But I think especially for first-time home buyers, that's when you really need somebody now, because it is going to be the hardest year on record for a first-time home buyer to get a home because of affordability, because of the no closing cost thing we talked about, because of competition for that house. Like there's got to be some tricks we got to come up with that are new to help people get in the houses, and obviously use the things we already know to get them in. But if you were a first-time home buyer, my advice to you is you got to also talk to the right lender and get the lender to thoroughly go through your situation, because probably to afford a house, you got to pay off that credit card. You got to refinance your car so you can have better debt ratio to go up to where the values are. Because there's a lot of people trying to get approved for something that's not out there, and it's not going to be out there for most cases. So you got to come up with the money other ways.
Mm-hmm. I know I had a lender tell one of my buyers recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, yeah, you can go up a little bit more. You got to pay off your $400 credit card. And I was like, wow, so you can go up that much more paying off your $400 credit card? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know it affected that much, but I guess your debt to income can be a
I remember when we had the credit score guy on a couple of weeks ago, listen to our replay. That was episode 14. If you want to work on your credit getting better can raise what your qualifications are, because your interest rate can go down, and that would be a good way to get approved for more. And you can do it fairly quickly if, within a matter of not that many months, based on some of the things that you have on your credit. So those are things you got to work on yourself, but at least have somebody that can guide you, work through the process. And obviously that's one of the things we feel like we excel at over some of the other, situations you might run into. So we're at the top of the hour. Station identification. What's happening in Minnesota real estate? Michelle Carstensen, along with Chuck Carstensen, Barbara Lee. We're on Facebook Live now. Carstensen Team RE/MAX page, broadcast out to private. Michelle, Barbara, my page, Real Life Impact podcast page, and later on the replay, search Real Life Impact podcast. Any final questions? Get them out, because we're going to be wrapping it up in a couple minutes. And I'll start with the wrap up of Barbara. This is the first episode you've been on, and you've shared actually a lot of good information and knowledge that most times you wouldn't hear from somebody who's, had X amount of experience in the business. So that's a good sign. I think you showed up well. Like if we didn't say how many years or whatever you've been doing, people would be like, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. But what else would you like people to know about you that maybe they don't know? And it doesn't have to be real estate. We already talked about working out. I mean, it could be anything, whatever you want to share and go for it.
Hey, recently in cribbage, I got a 28 hand, which I've been playing for 25 years, and I had not gotten a 28 hand. So my husband was pouting that night because because of that. Because he really loves to beat me, like all the time. He just really wants to beat me. That's all he's motivated to do is beat me. Like, want to play cribbage? No, because like you're smug when you beat me. I don't know. I have 2 daughters. They're awesome. They, one just bought a house, as I told you. The other one's thinking about it because right now, depending on your price point, you can actually buy cheaper than you can rent. So, I mean, is it the right thing? There's a lot of variables. Like, should I buy right now? Should I keep renting? Time is a huge, continuum there. Like, how long? If you don't know, that's tough. I have 2 very crazy dogs that are my coworkers. And last week, one of them tore down the curtains in my house when the FedEx guy came. So they think they're the mafia of the cartel. Like if someone comes, like they're going to be, yeah. So,
No, I get it. Now that I took up cross-country skiing, when I put my ski mask on and my furry hat over my ski mask because I like to stay warm, my dog's barking at me when I come into the house. I'm like, Scout, it's me. Scout, it's me. Stop it. Take off the mask. He's like, oh, okay, it's you.
Oh gosh, I could smell you, maybe, but I don't know. So, but yeah, I'm back as a showing agent, and I just, like I said, I really have a passion for real estate. I really enjoy it, and I like helping people, so that's where that service part comes in. So
I like when you help me too, Barbara.
Yeah.
I like when you help, Michelle.
Yeah. You also probably like when you don't have to drive to Kimball for a showing because I live here, right? That's gotta be a little bit.
I will like when I won't have to drive to Painesville for a showing either.
Yes.
Or Wilmer or Alexandria.
Yeah. So I mean I help broaden the reach of our team by being in a different area. So
it's true.
And we do. We make a good team.
And if you guys all don't know, we are related. She has a different name.
I said that earlier, but they might have just been new to it. Most people only watch these for 15 seconds, so we'll have to keep repeating this every 15 seconds.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I had to say. Like, we're all related. Stacy's not related to us, but Barbara is. She's our first cousin.
That's true. I am. And no, you guys are great about like answering questions and helping me, learn. And so, yeah, but I was going to say small communities are nice too. Yes, they are, Nick. I live in one, and I like small communities, and I love, the town that my daughter bought a home in. I mean, are there like 27 people who live there?
Is there a post office? I don't even know there is.
No,
I think there's a baseball field for like the town.
Actually, they years ago, they were like the championship of something. I don't know where all those people came from, but
well, back years ago, there wasn't iPads, iPhones, video games. So every kid played baseball. So every town had a town team baseball back in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, you're from Rice. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say, so Opal. I'm talking about Opal, Minnesota, and it is a town. But it's a great town. They've got the church, the bar, and the graveyard. Right
baseball field.
There. It's all, and the baseball field. Yeah, no. And, the thing about our family here is, I was just going to say the thing about our family. We are from a small town. I am from Long Prairie, very small town. Barville is even smaller than Long Prairie. I mean, and so talk about small town love. Yeah, we all are from humble beginnings on the farm.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Out in those towns, you can buy houses for $100,000. So
you can. Yes, you can.
In Browerville, you can buy a house for $100,000, Chuck.
There is one listing for $100,000, I'm sure. You're right.
In Opal, you can, or you could. Maybe, I don't think there's any more houses to buy in Opal.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Sounds good. So hopefully everybody got to know Barbara. And if you didn't know any of us because you knew Barbara and who are these other people with Barbara, hopefully you got to know us. and then yeah, that's it. We'll have another show. We do these. We plan them a couple days out. I mean, we talk about them and put them out every couple 3 weeks just to keep everybody updated on what's happening in Minnesota real estate. I think we're the only realtors that have the What's Happening in Minnesota Real Estate show. I'm sure a couple people have podcasts and they're not quite as exciting and funny and personable as us, but I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're, whatever.
How
I'll
do they
listen to
compare?
one. I listen to real estate podcasts. Nobody local though. I don't know if anybody does one. Maybe somebody's going to be like,
I don't think they do anymore.
I think
have any.
So here's where I extend the show 3 more minutes when I probably should, but I think they try them for 2 times and I give up, and we just keep putting them out there. Why not?
Fun.
Why not?
That's all
All right, so we're gonna sign off. Thanks for watching. Obviously, if you missed the early part of the show and want to find out what swear word I said earlier that wasn't a swear word, you can listen to Real Life Impact Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That's where I download it when I listen back to it to critique my speaking abilities.
All right. That's
All
awesome.
right.
Thanks,
Take care.
guys.
We're signing off.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.